Welcome back to our first session. The theme of the session is Pakistan today. We requested Professor Savita Pandey to chair the session, and she has graciously accepted for the same. And we have two speakers. We have Dr. Ajay Darshan Behera, Reader Academy of Third World Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. He'll be speaking on the topic Understanding Society, Economy and Politics of Pakistan, Internal Challenges and Dynamics. The other speaker is Ms. Shalini Chawla, Senior Fellow, Center for Aid Path Studies. She'll be speaking on the topic Pakistan's ideological drift into jihad, consequences and prospects for Pakistan. I would request Professor Savita Pandey to take over the session.
Thank you, Professor Pandey, and I have to thank the Manipal University Department of Geopolitics and International Relations and the Center for Aid Path Studies for organizing this seminar and inviting me to be a speaker. It's a subject that interests me quite a bit, and today I think the region is in a very critical state. Let us locate the present time in history when critical developments are going to take place in the region. Howsoever we focus internally, and that's the mandate I have to focus on Pakistan's state, society and economy. The regional developments are going to be very critical in the coming few years. What I mean by that is the supposed withdrawal by the American and NATO forces from Afghanistan in 2014. Whether that's likely to happen, or there would still be forces left in Afghanistan to provide stability. Why that's an important critical factor is to a large extent in the last few years, if we see, they have had a very significant impact on the kind of developments we see within Pakistan. If we go back a little, there's a whole history, but it won't be possible for me to focus, give you a very historical view of the nature of the state, developments in the society and the economy. But if you just go back a little, there are critical markers that we need to keep in mind. One, that the Pakistan that we see today is going through a kind of a crisis which I think emerged in March 2007. Certain developments which gave us an indication that there are social forces within Pakistan which are trying to reshape Pakistan. And that event was the dismissal of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court by General Musharraf. And coming closer to this year, I think again 2011 is very critical, because since January you've had several developments again. First, the killing of the governor of Punjab, Mr. Salman Taseer, by his own bodyguard. And then there was a Raymond Davis episode, and then you had the killing of Osama bin Laden on the 1st of May this year. Now, all these are very important markers in the way the political and social processes have evolved in Pakistan since then. Why these are important is the changes that we see in Pakistan today. It doesn't give us a very clear picture as to where this country is headed. The forces which seem to be moving Pakistan in a direction where it ought to, and there are also forces which give us a very, very pessimistic or negative understanding that this country is headed nowhere. There is this tension between these forces, and that is going to be critical in the coming years. And at the end of my presentation, I'm going to focus on some of those issues and look ahead to see what Pakistan might look like in the next couple of years. But today, if you look at Pakistan, this whole issue of Pakistan being a collapsed state, a collapsing state, there can be two views on that yes, it is headed towards destruction, self-destruction. The other is that you can stay in a kind of a state of anomie. I mean, you don't collapse, but you don't even become stable. And that's where I think I use a political science term, and it is in a state of political decay. 64 years of independence has not strengthened the institutions in Pakistan. These institutions are weak. Democracy has had spurts in Pakistan. A democracy which is largely controlled, except for, I think, 71 to 77, Bhutto's period. No other period, even if you have had democratic regimes, can be considered as democracies in Pakistan. And this is largely to do with the role that the military has been playing in Pakistan's politics. And this is where, particularly in the last couple of months, we get a sense that despite this tension between the civilian leadership, the politicians, and the military, it is the military which still determines the fate of Pakistan. It is the military which controls Pakistan's policies, whether it's domestic, foreign security policies. And that tension, despite the fact that there is certain evidence that the political leaders are trying to assert themselves, but post Osama bin Laden's killing, it was very clear that the civilian leadership, the civil society in Pakistan, had lost a great opportunity in trying to rein in the military. It just simply succumbed to the military at a certain point of time when it had the upper hand, because that probably was the weakest moment for the Pakistan military. The image of the military today in Pakistan is certainly not the best that it could have imagined. The military does have a very important role to play in Pakistan. In the public imagination, the military in Pakistan has a certain place. It is seen as the defender of the nation, and more importantly, the defender of the ideology of Pakistan. It was unthinkable a couple of years back that people would criticize the military publicly. Despite the fact that if you go back into the history, all the wars, intended, unintended, declared, undeclared, the military has actually been the source of all the conflicts. It has been the source of the partition of Pakistan in 1971, or it's been responsible for that. Despite commissions having been set, the blame for that publicly has not been on the military. But here, after the bin Laden killing and also the attack which took place on the Mehran naval base in Karachi, the public outcry against the military that was not able to defend Pakistan's sovereignty, the public outcry against a military which was not able to defend itself against the jihadis. The issue of bin Laden's killing was an issue of Pakistan's sovereignty. That the military was not able to protect Pakistan's sovereignty. It was not the issue of how great a fighting force you are. There's certainly, there's no comparison between the Pakistan military and the United States military capabilities. But the issue was that what is all this military defense budget for? The most privileged section in the Pakistan society, that an institution which has been cornering the largest share in the budget and yet was incapable of protecting its territorial boundaries and sovereignty. The Mehran episode was different. Here, the issue was not so much about sovereignty, but the incapacity or the incompetence of the Pakistan military to defend a naval base which is supposed to have been protected by the military. The period for which it continued and the kind of responses we got after that gave an indication that, and the public outcry which took place after that episode, gave an indication that people were just not happy with the military and were willing to articulate that in the public. We haven't seen this kind of a response or reaction to the military at the public domain, where people have been so upset with the role that the military has been playing. Of course, the way the military has managed it tried to put the blame on the civilian leadership, that the reason why the Osama bin Laden's presence in Abbottabad, it was, and the public outcry after that, it was, the justification for that was as if the civilian leadership had mismanaged the situation by not managing it well with the media. But the fact remains that since then, not only do we see this tension within Pakistan between the civilian leadership and the military, but also the deteriorating relationship between the United States and Pakistan. I think again, there's a very critical point here. Historically, the relationship between the United States and Pakistan, I think we have never seen the kind of acrimony we see today. All throughout, I think the Americans have known the kind of things the Pakistan military on the ISI has been doing, but they have never publicly criticized the Pakistan military the way they have been doing now. And that criticism has been all across the board, not only coming out from the various think tanks in the United States, all the journalists writing about Pakistan, but also in the Senate and the Congress, where very strong policy positions are being articulated by various senators. But the United States, seeing its limitations, the fact that you don't have much of an option in terms of dealing with Afghanistan, the Pakistan military still remains critical to its strategy and how to handle Afghanistan. Allied to this is the question of what kind of a state is Pakistan emerging as? We have all kinds of terminologies that we use for Pakistan. But what the understanding that I have is that Pakistan is going to be a very, very unstable state in the coming years. I can't focus so much on the internal contradictions and the conflicts within Pakistan, but in a very brief sweep, you can see that the challenges it faces from not only nationalism within Pakistan, but I also think that there is a class war within Pakistan which to a large extent goes to explain the dissonances between the military and the jihadis. Here my narrative is a little different because what people look at a phenomenon which if in religious terms, I think it's more of a class issue where the divide in the Pakistan society has not been understood from the class perspective or from the approach of a class analysis. The economic crisis that Pakistan has been going through has created new social forces. Its economy, which at the macroeconomic level is confronted with the fiscal crisis, low growth rate, and largely the failure of a welfare state.